Hi everybody, Dr. Eric Kaufman here, and in this tutorial, we're going to look at how we can use Alibaba.com, the world's largest supplier and buyer marketplace, to find a supplier for our product. So we've previously looked at how we can select a product. After you've selected a product, you want to find a reliable supplier to source that product from. Now, we've already discussed how a good supplier fulfills these criteria. He replies quickly and in detail when you message them. Their English is good, at least generally good. You can forgive some of the Chinese suppliers for having poor English on their product page, but generally you want it to be good. Detailed product descriptions on their product pages. So you want to make sure that there's a lot of words, a lot of description, and most importantly, their own words, not copied and pasted from another source. You want to make sure they have non-stock images and a whole bunch of images. So what that means is the images are not from an image website where they can just download images to use for themselves, nor is it just taken from Google. It's their own real images. Next is certifications. You want to make sure that the supplier has some sorts of certifications or the industry standard certifications for whatever your product is. You want to make sure that they sell other products as well. If they sell a single product, that might be a little suspect. And that they have a company website and email. I personally never do business with any company that does not have a personal website and email. It just looks illegitimate and you don't know what you're going to walk into. A website and an email don't necessarily mean that they're the real deal, but it's much more assuring. And it's a good sign of a real company. Now, Alibaba has some own specialty features to help you select a reliable supplier. The first one is the gold supplier, and we want to see that they have many years under gold membership, that they've had an AV check, an on-site check, an assessed supplier mark, and trade assurance. Now we'll look at how all of these work on Alibaba Live. So let's head back to Alibaba.com. So the first thing we want to do is, here on the left side, we can search by products, suppliers, and buyers. And in this case, we're looking for suppliers. But personally, I prefer to just search the product and see the suppliers that come up as a result. So for example, let's look at matcha green tea. That's just a type of powdered green tea, very common in Japan and China. So we'll just type matcha green tea. Here it says we spelled it incorrectly, but we've spelled it correctly. And just click on search. And we get a whole bunch of different product listings. Now, you'll notice with every product listing on the right side, this is the supplier information tab. So we can just take a look at this to have a quick glance at the company. So let's look at a few of the features we've discussed already. So one of them is the trade assurance. And if you highlight trade assurance, it tells you that they guarantee the quality and refund in case the quality is not up to your standards or there are issues with the supplier, and they assure you your money up to a certain amount. So for example, if we do a trade with this company over here, we can see this little dollar in a castle symbol over here, and they'll insure your trade for up to $21,000. So that's generally a good sign. So that's the number one thing we want to look out for, especially when it comes to Chinese suppliers. Alibaba provides trade assurance only for Chinese suppliers and not for suppliers from any other country. So it's not as much of a factor in selecting a good supplier when you're looking at suppliers from another country. Now let's look over here. We have a 79% respond rate. And what this means is that 79% of the time when they receive a message, they respond to it within 24 hours. So having a higher response rate is obviously much more suitable from a supplier. It helps you communicate better and it helps you trust in them more. Here we have a little medal, which over here we can see means gold supplier. So this is a gold supplier on Alibaba.com, and we can see here that they've been a gold supplier for 5 years. They're celebrating their 5th year as gold suppliers. And the more years they have as gold suppliers, the more reliable and the more trustworthy they are as a supplier. It means more people have had time to do business with them and not enough have reported scams or issues that they would remove them from the website or remove their gold suppliership. So here we see that we have the company name, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. That looks like a difficult one. And if we highlight over the name, we see here we get some additional information. We get information on a few of their other products, plant extracts, rhodiola extract. We get their revenue, 2.5 million to 5 million, which generally is a good sign. And then their top 3 markets. So 7% of their products go to North America, 7% to South America, 7% to Eastern Europe. Now, this information is all reported by the company and is not necessarily double-checked by Alibaba. So do not take this at 100% face value. Next, when we're over the name, we see that another piece of information that comes out is the on-site check. And this is a check by Alibaba that checks that the company is legally registered and is a real operation in China. So this is also very important, especially when it comes to Chinese suppliers, when you're selecting a supplier. Here we have another feature, but I don't see any of them below, which is an assessed supplier. So this means that Alibaba hired a third company to come in and inspect the company rigorously and to write a report on that company. So an assessed supplier is generally the best form of assurance you have that a company is legitimate and is good for doing business with. So when you want to find a supplier using this method, just going through all of these would take forever. So instead, we can search by filtering exactly what we want. So if you want to only work with assessed suppliers, we can click over here on assessed supplier and just wait for it to load. And now Alibaba is only showing us results from assessed suppliers. So if we go over here, we can see that they are an assessed supplier. Here's another feature, which is company videos. I'm not sure on how legitimate this makes a company, but it's a service provided by Alibaba. And the more of these services used by a supplier, generally, the more reliable that supplier is. We can also make sure that we only get on-site checked suppliers and make sure they're only gold members and make sure that they provide trade assurance. So when you have all of these checked, generally, you are dealing with only highly reliable, legitimate suppliers. Even with that said, we're going to take a more detailed look at the supplier. So here we have green tea powder, matcha powder. We'll just click on that and look at their product. This takes us to the product description page. We can see that their minimum order quantity is 1 kilogram, and they can supply up to 10,000 kilograms per month, which is a very huge quantity. We see here the payment terms, TT, which is a wire transfer, Western Union, and MoneyGram. Generally, these are very poor payment options because they do not provide protection to you, the buyer, or to whoever the buyer may be. So we usually look for PayPal is a little more reliable because PayPal will side with you in the case of dispute if you're purchasing. We want to look for LC, a letter of credit, which is a much more reliable payment option. Not these over here. However, we already have all the trade assurance and everything from Alibaba.com, so generally we might be able to overlook that, but we should always be wary and always be a little bit paranoid. So we'll just scroll down now. We're looking at the image here of the product, and this doesn't look like a product that they just stole off Google. You can see they have their company name watermarked at the bottom of the image, and they have a bunch of certifications they claim to have, and we'll check those out in a bit. But generally, this image looks legitimate. It has all their branding on it. See, they call themselves Lingonberry, and here we see they have their Alibaba website and their regular website, and they have their watermark on the image, and the same thing on the other image supplied. So generally, we want to see that they have their own images and that they really belong to them. Next, we'll scroll down and take a look at the product details. Here, we have the name of the product and then a bunch of specifications like how it's extracted, the grade of it, the appearance, the packaging form, the features, the place of origin, the shelf life, and many other details. Then we can see our packaging and delivery options. And as we scroll below, we want to see the most detailed product description possible. So over here, they give you some detailed technical specifications, and it's always encouraging to see these. We have some additional pictures, especially pictures with their own custom packaging and of their factory. Here there are some health claims, but generally you can ignore that. You have to watch out about the health claims you make in the United States, but not necessarily overseas. And when we scroll below, we see there's a bit of company information. We see they have these certifications, a lot of the ISO certifications, and a few others. We see they have some information on their factory, and all of this has been double-checked by Alibaba because we see that they have the on-site check as well as the assessed supplier mark. So we'll go back here. You can see pictures of their company. All these images are very reassuring. Once again, they don't mean 100% legitimacy, but they're very reassuring. And then here we have some pictures of the certifications, but we'll look more into detail into that. And then some information on their offices. So we'll just go back to the top of the product profile page and click on company profile. We get some more detailed information on the company. Here we have a nice company description, which is always good to see. We see their business types and number of employees and markets and factory size. And here we can see that there is an assessment report for us to view. Now if we head back up to the top, we can click on the actual company name for a little more detail. So we'll just go ahead and click there. We'll just wait for that to load. So first of all, it brings us to this beautiful, customized Alibaba sellers page. And the more customization there is on this page, the more likely this is a legitimate supplier with legitimate products. And we can just scroll below. We can see that we can access this site in multiple languages. There's more company information. We have the assessment reports viewable over here. We can just download it over here. And it automatically downloaded below. We'll just wait for that to load. Now that that's loaded, we can just select it to open it up. And we can see this is all the information Alibaba has gathered on the supplier. It's a very long report, but generally this is very reassuring. It gives us a lot of insight into the legitimacy of this company, and it's all done by Alibaba.com. So we can head back to the suppliers page. We can see after the assessment reports, we have some other products they carry. Blueberry, wild lingonberry extract, weight loss proteins, and many others. We see they also have product categories, OPCs, I'm not sure what those are, proteins, herbal extracts, and others. And we can just keep scrolling down there for ages. We can look at their products over here, and we can look at their company profile over here, and we're just going to go ahead and click on that. This gives us access to a bunch of information, such as the fact that their orders are ready in 3 days generally. And we get a bunch of their information on certifications. And we can click on that to take a look at the certification. And here are copies of these certifications. Once again, this is all very reassuring. We'll head back to the overview. We can look at their trade capacity on the left side and see where they do business, in which countries and in what percentages, and with what products. We can see their production capacity, some information on quality control, R&D, trademarks and patents. We can also go to contacts over here and select that. And we can see that over here we have their company website. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Generally, it's best not to do business with a company that does not have a website. So automatically that takes you to their website. And once again, it's a very legitimate looking website. We're just going to give that a few seconds to load. Once again, it's a very legitimate looking website. We see we have a bunch of categories to choose from. It looks like a very comprehensive site, and this is very reassuring once again. And then down below we have some information on the company. We have a phone number, we have a fax, we have a contact page. All of these can be used to contact the company and make sure they're the real deal. So generally, this is what a good supplier looks like, and I would not personally worry to do business with this supplier. Obviously, experiences can differ between suppliers and between customers, so always approach with paranoia, but generally this is exactly what you want to see when you think of a good supplier. Now let's take a look at a bad supplier. We'll just head back to our original search, and let's remove all of these filters. Let's remove trade assurance and gold suppliers and on-site checking and assessed suppliers. Let's remove all of the good stuff. Now let's just scroll through and let's look for a non-gold supplier. Now, I guess it's kind of hard to find a non-gold supplier for green tea, so let's search for another product that might have more scammers involved. For example, let us search for one of the products I told you to avoid, such as jet fuel. So let's search jet fuel. And let's search in the jet fuel category. Once again, even gold suppliers can be scams, so always be wary. So let's just click on any one of these. Let's see this jet fuel from Russian origin, selling from India, from a company that claims to do marketing and design. Now, they have had an A&V check, but you'll notice that this is just a regular A&V check, meaning that this company is registered in India, but they never visited their facilities. When it's just the hands together like that, this is just a regular A&V check. If we go all the way to the top, we can see that the hands with the house around it is the on-site check, and that's the one we want to generally do business with. So let's go back to that Indian company. Let's just go ahead and click on the product. It takes you to their product page. As you can see, this looks like a stock image that can be pulled from any website. True, they have their watermark over it, but it's the single image. And I'm not sure this is how people sell jet fuel. Look at how tiny this description is. No product details up here like we saw in the green tea. If we go to company profile, we can see that they've only provided the number of employees as company information. If we go up here and click on the actual company name in the top right corner, it looks even more grim. We can see they've just taken this random image of a white male and just put it up there. You can see that they claim to be a trading company, which is already an issue. We don't want to do business with other trading companies. And just generally no information. Look at how beautiful that green tea product page was, and look at how ugly this one is over here. And we see that they sell used rails as well and other products, and I just don't believe them that they sell all these products, and yet we've never heard of this company. If we go to company profile over here, we can see that there's limited information. There are no Alibaba assurances, no Alibaba reports.